I'm Dana Cowley, and welcome to Charter Local Edition Northwest. We're in Olympia, Washington, and we're covering the highlights of the 2015 legislative session. My guest today is Paul Harris. He's a Republican representing the 17th District. Paul, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
The Supreme Court a couple of years ago told us we had to put more money into education, and that still continues to be a struggle for us. How are you doing with that this year?
Well, you know, we put in about $1 billion last year in last session, and so we have about $3.2 billion more dollars in this budget, about an 8.5% to 9% increase in funds this year. I'm looking at we're going to get between $700 million and probably $1.2 billion more dollars into the McCleary, into the education this session. The timing is kind of unique because our budget will probably, well, it will come out tomorrow, and so we'll take a look at what the Democrats are proposing, and I understand there is some revenue in there, a tax increase of some sort. I'm not sure what it is, but I've been told it's not carbon, which is interesting, so it means it's headed in another direction, and so it'll be interesting. I really believe that with an 8.5% to 9% increase, we have enough money in there to fund McCleary, and that we will get there without the tax increase.
And with the funding moving into education, when you go back and talk to the people you represent at home, are you hearing from them that that is improving our schools, or our teachers happier, better things for our kids?
I think so. I think we've made some good steps in education. We've been reminded by the Supreme Court that it is our paramount duty, that is the most important duty we have. We've had several legislation sessions where we've said to fund education first. I think we're taking more a look at fund our children first now. Let's look at all children, funding that first. I've always been a proponent of a separate education budget, something that would set aside that money so that they don't have to fight for it every session. Let's fight for some other dollars. I mean, if it truly is our paramount duty, then why not place a separate budget for it and let's get it funded. Let everybody else scrap for the other stuff, maybe, huh?
And one of the other things that we always seem to be scrapping about is the transportation budget.
Oh yeah, we got one of those too. We do have transportation, and people aren't driving quite as much, or they're driving better cars than they used to, more fuel efficient. So we do have a transportation package that's going to raise about 11.5 cents. I'm from Vancouver, Washington, Clark County.
Pretty country.
It's a great part of the state. We contribute about 7% of the tax in. And this particular package, I get about 1% out. So, you know, last session we had a bridge on there that became rather cantankerous, and we didn't get our bridge. And so, for some reason, I was able to get to $400 to $500 million last time, and this time I'm getting hardly anything. So I got to be honest with you right now, I'm not a proponent of that package. There's not enough in there for Southwest Washington. And on top of that, there's some reforms to me that are very important. You know, we have a transportation, DOT has had several problems. We've had ferries that don't float quite right, which I think is kind of bad. We have a boring machine, this Big Bertha, that's kind of stuck and been there for about a year. We got a bridge with pontoons that isn't performing properly. We have spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that we have wasted. And so reforms to me, making sure that we have good engineering, is so important to me. And I could not even if I get all the projects in my area that I need to vote for this, I need reforms too. I need a department that is accountable, that is not wasting taxpayers' dollars, and they're few and far between right now, those dollars, so I need to make sure that these reforms take place. Very important to me.
And just like the state Supreme Court ruling on education, the state Supreme Court has suggested to us as lawmakers that we should do more for the people with mental health issues.
Absolutely. You know, we're going to be addressing mental health. Basically how our patients or our individuals enter into the system has become quite difficult. In our state, typically you actually have to produce harm to yourself in order to be admitted. You as a family member could not get a child of yours admitted, a parent, or even a friend, so it's always placed back, and so how we admit people is going to change in this state, I hope. Joel's Law, which is the law that's been brought about, is very important. You do not have to bring harm to yourself any longer to get admitted. It's going to cost the state some money, but I got to be honest with you, it's the right step, and we absolutely need to have that take place.
Paul Harris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Absolutely.
you being here.
Good to be here.
I'm Dana Cowley, and you're watching Charter Local Edition Northwest.